The novel of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck is a powerful story about friendship, dreams, loneliness, and the harsh reality of life during the Great Depression. It's a short novel, but its emotional impact is enormous. At the heart of the story are two unlikely friends traveling together in search of work and a better life. Two men, one dream. The story follows two migrant workers, George Milton and Lennie Small. George is quick-witted, practical, and responsible. Lennie, on the other hand, is physically strong but mentally challenged. He has the mind of a child and often struggles to understand the consequences of his actions. Despite their differences, the two men share a deep bond. George looks after Lennie like a protector, while Lennie trusts George completely. And together, they share a dream. They dream of owning their own small farm someday. A place where they can live freely, work for themselves, and escape the harsh life of wandering laborers. For Lennie, the dream is simple: he wants to tend rabbits on the farm. For George, the dream represents independence and dignity. But in the harsh world they live in, dreams rarely come true. Life on the ranch. George and Lennie arrive at a ranch in California where they hope to earn money. The ranch is filled with lonely men who travel from job to job, never settling down. Among them are several important characters. There's Candy, an aging worker who fears being useless. Crooks, the isolated stable worker who lives alone because of racial segregation. Curly, the aggressive son of the ranch owner. And Curly's wife, who is never given a name, only known by her relationship to her husband. She is lonely, frustrated, and desperate for attention. Each character represents a different kind of loneliness in a difficult world. Lennie's innocence. One of Lennie's defining traits is his love of soft things. He enjoys petting mice, puppies, and anything soft to the touch. But Lennie doesn't know his own strength. This becomes a dangerous problem. Throughout the story, George constantly warns Lennie to stay away from trouble, especially from Curly's wife. George knows that even a small mistake could destroy everything they are working for. And unfortunately, Lennie has a history of accidents caused by his overwhelming strength. The dream feels possible. For a brief moment, the dream begins to feel real. Candy overhears George and Lennie talking about their farm and offers to contribute his life savings to make it happen. Suddenly, the dream of owning land seems within reach. Three men, George, Lennie, and Candy, begin imagining a future where they are finally free. It's a rare moment of hope in a story filled with hardship. But the fragile dream doesn't last long. The tragic accident. One afternoon, Lennie is alone in the barn with a small puppy he accidentally killed while petting it too roughly. While he is hiding the puppy, Curly's wife enters the barn. She begins talking about her lonely life and her lost dreams of becoming an actress. At first, the conversation seems harmless. But when Lennie admits he likes touching soft things, she allows him to feel her hair. Soon Lennie becomes frightened when she tells him to stop. In panic, he grabs her too tightly and accidentally breaks her neck. In an instant, everything changes. The final choice. When the ranch workers discover what happened, a violent mob forms to hunt Lennie down. George realizes something heartbreaking. If the others find Lennie, they will kill him brutally. So George makes a painful decision. He finds Lennie first near the river where they agreed to meet if trouble ever came. George begins telling Lennie their dream one last time, the dream of the farm, the rabbits, and the peaceful life they hope to build together. While Lennie listens happily, imagining that future, George quietly raises a gun. And with deep sorrow, he pulls the trigger. The meaning of the story of Mice and Men explores some of the most universal human struggles. Loneliness. Friendship. Dreams that feel just out of reach. The title itself comes from a poem by Robert Burns that suggests even the best-made plans often go wrong. Steinbeck shows how fragile dreams can be, especially for people living on the margins of society. But the story also highlights something powerful: even in a harsh and lonely world, friendship can give life meaning. George and Lennie's bond was rare in a place where most people faced life alone. Final thoughts. More than 80 years after its publication, Of Mice and Men remains one of the most moving stories in American literature. It reminds us that dreams can give us hope. But it also reminds us that life doesn't always follow the plans we make. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is the hardest decision a person can make.